Every time we talk about Jeffrey Epstein, we talk about the men, the billionaires, the royals, the scientists. But Epstein's operation didn't run on money alone. It ran on women. Women who scheduled his victims, managed his calendar, vouched for him in court. Women who made him seem safe. And women who, depending on who you ask, were either victims or accomplices. This is the story of the women who enabled Jeffrey Epstein, the queen of the pyramid. At the top was Ghislaine Maxwell, British socialite, daughter of disgraced media mogul Robert Maxwell, and Epstein's closest ally. When her father died and left her reputation in ruins, she crossed the Atlantic to start over and found Jeffrey Epstein. At first, she was his girlfriend, then his employee, and finally, his enabler. She managed his homes, coordinated his staff, and according to survivors, recruited teenage girls under the guise of massages. Virginia Giuffre said that Maxwell acted like the perfect older woman. Sophisticated, confident, safe. She looked like Mary Poppins, Giuffre once said, and you just kind of trusted her. That trust became Epstein's weapon. Before Ghislaine, the abuse was scattered. After her, it became systematic. In 2021, Ghislaine was convicted of sex trafficking and sentenced to 20 years in prison. But her role was sort of only the tip of the iceberg. The lieutenants. Beneath Maxwell was a small army of assistants, women who kept Epstein's daily life running like a business. Sarah Cohen, Nadia Mashinskova, Leslie Groff, and Adriana Ross all appear in legal filings and police reports. Victims said Cohen escorted them to Epstein's massage room. Nadia allegedly took part in the abuse herself. Groff booked flights, hotels, and coordinated the constant rotation of appointments. It's interesting because it's not just like a gaggle of random secretaries, they're the infrastructure of his life. All four of them were named as co-conspirators in Epstein's 2008 plea deal, yet none of them were ever charged. Today, most of them say they were victims too, unsurprisingly. Cohen says Epstein and Maxwell psychologically broke her down. Nadia's lawyer called her a victim of Epstein's trafficking. Others insist they never saw anything inappropriate. And I would imagine a lot of that is true. Epstein didn't just exploit women, he weaponized them. He turned them into buffers, blurring the line between helper and hostage until no one knew who was protecting whom. The recruiters. Then there were the women who floated around Epstein's world. Girlfriends and artists and socialites who brought new girls into the fold for him. One was Rena O, an artist who met Epstein at just 21 years old. She thought he was a wealthy person who wanted to support her career. Soon, he was asking if she had any cute friends she could bring over. Sadly, she did introduce a few. Two of them later accused her of participating in their assaults. Rena denies this, saying that she was manipulated just like these other women were. Years later, she applied for victim compensation herself, saying Epstein controlled and abused her for years. And under the rules of that fund, women who recruited others under duress could still qualify as victims. That's what I mean by the infrastructure of it all. And also, a lot of that was Epstein's kind of horrific genius. He built a system that made complicity feel like survival. The gatekeepers. So he didn't just need assistants or recruiters. Epstein always was desperate for respectability. And few gave him more than Eva Anderson Dubin, doctor, philanthropist, former Miss Sweden who dated Epstein for a bit in the 80s and then married billionaire Glenn Dubin. Interesting. Even after Epstein's 2008 conviction, she vouched for him in court, writing that she was 100% comfortable having him around her children. He attended their family holidays. They called him Uncle F. When she testified at Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, she calmly said she'd never seen Epstein act inappropriately. To the jury, this woman looked credible, intelligent, composed, even like maternal. But all of that was the point. Epstein used her social standing like armor. She made him look really good. And if someone like her still trusted him, how bad could he really be? Spoiler alert, really bad. She didn't even need to defend him publicly because her silence did the work for her. And in Epstein's world, silence was the strongest defense that money could buy. The women in power. Even inside the justice system, women played key roles in letting Epstein walk free. When he was first charged in Florida, two prosecutors, Lana Biloflovic and Marie Villafana, were assigned to his case. They had clear evidence of trafficking, but instead of federal prison, Epstein got 13 months in county jail, where he left 6 days a week for work. The deal they approved protected Epstein's co-conspirators from prosecution, and it was kept secret from victims. Years later, a federal judge called it a national disgrace. Lana left public service, and Maria stayed in government and says she was overruled by her superiors, which I 100% believe. But to survivors, that's not going to change much, is it? They were the ones in the room, and a lot of survivors felt like they could have stopped it. I kind of think they couldn't. I don't know. The socialites and the enablers. Even after prison, Epstein's social life came roaring back because powerful people kept inviting him to shit. Publicist Peggy Siegel added him to party lists. Tech executive Linda Stone vouched for him at MIT's Media Lab. Journalist Vicky Ward, who once investigated him, later wrote about him in much softer terms. They weren't part of his crimes, but they were part of his camouflage. Every polite dinner and every little photo op and every, oh, he's changed. It helped him disappear in plain sight and continue committing abuse for years. Predators like Epstein don't just rely on fear, they rely on social comfort. The idea that if someone looks trustworthy, then they must be safe. The web that stayed intact. Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. But most of the women who helped him in one way or another are still free. Some, if not most, were victims. Some were enablers. And a lot of them were both. If you found this breakdown helpful or just kind of horrifying, then hit subscribe, yay! We do videos just like this 5 days a week. And guess what? This isn't the last story at all about how power protects itself and the people who make that protection possible, because I'm very nosy and they keep doing shit. So we're here 5 days a week. Woo! Bye!